Hello, today we are talking about three-dimensional vocabulary. So just to clarify a couple of words that we're going to use when we're talking about three-dimensional objects. So I'm going to be referencing the prism, the purple prism, sort of at the bottom right of your screen. So a blank is a segment that is formed by the intersection of two faces. So if I take a face, which is any one of these polygons, so this green polygon I'm coloring in is a rectangular face. So that's my rectangle. If I take that and I make it intersect with, say, the front, and again, this face is again a rectangle. But where these two things intersect, which is where the blue touches the green, what have I actually formed there? And right here, where the blue touches the green, is a line segment. That's a segment where two faces touch is a segment. And we call this special segment an edge. Okay, so this blank right here is the word edge. So an edge is a segment that is formed by the intersection of two faces. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase that and work on the next one. A blank is a point where two or more edges intersect. So let's get some edges intersecting. So I've got this edge, I'm coloring it in green. Again, that's a segment. I have this edge I'm coloring in blue. And then I have another edge. I want three edges that touch. And there I have three edges that touch. And where the three edges touch is a point, and that is called a vertex of your three-dimensional object. So a point where two or more edges intersect is a vertex. Now we're going to talk about a cube. And a cube, wait, let's cross out my words. I've used edge and I've used vertex. So I'm talking about edges or vertices on a cube. So on a cube, it's got 8 of something and it has 12 of something else. I'm going to dash in things we can't really see. Okay, so here's my cube. So let's count something. I'm going to start by counting vertices because those are pretty easy. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back in the back I have 8. So a cube has 8 vertices. Okay, so there's 8 vertexes on a cube. It has 12 of something else. So I'm going to go ahead and count those. I'm going to start by counting faces. If I start with faces, I would do front and back, that's 2. Left and right, that's 2. Top and bottom, that's 2. That's 2, 4, 6. So if I was talking about faces, it would be 6 faces. And again, each face is a polygon. So the only other thing to count is edges. So I start at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to do the up and downs. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going to do the top. 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've got 12 edges on a cube. So let's look at this word down here. Polyhedron. So a polyhedron is a space figure or a three-dimensional figure whose surfaces are all polygons. So if you look at the orange pyramid, each face is a triangle. And if you look at the prism, each face is a rectangle. So examples are prisms and pyramids. Non-examples are circles, cylinders, and spheres. So this says cross out the figure below that is not a polyhedron. So the first one, we have rectangle, 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 and triangles. So this one is a polyhedron. In the pyramid, the bottom's a square. It looks like it's got 4 triangles going around. So that is a polyhedron. Ooh, we have a cylinder. This shape is a circle. It's not a polygon, which means this guy is a big fat no. Can't have a circle. And this last one is a rectangular prism that is a polyhedron. So problem number 1, how many vertices, edges, and faces are in the polyhedron at the right? So number 6, identify each description as a vertex, an edge, or a face. So number 6 is a point where 3 or more edges intersect. That's a vertex. A polygon is going to be one of the faces. And a segment where 2 or more faces intersect is called an edge. So number 7 says list the 2 vertices at the top of the polyhedron. So we'll do our vertices in blue. So at the top, we have these 2, which are R and S, and those are at the top. And then it says the 4 vertices along the bottom. So on the bottom, I've got V, W, T, and U. V, W, T, and U. Number 8, list 1 edge at the top of the polyhedron. So let me get an edge at the top. This edge is called RS. There's a segment. The 4 edges along the bottom. So on the bottom, I've got UV, VW, TW, and finally I have UT. So those are the 4 edges along the bottom and the 4 edges that connect the top with the bottom. So RU, ST, that little dashed one in the back. Then I have the diagonal ones, SW, and finally RV. So those are all of the edges. Now we need to list the faces. Okay, so the faces. I'm going to do the front is triangle RUV. The back is triangle STW. I'll highlight that one. STW is a face. I've just erased the T. So that's a triangular face. That's the one in the back. So we have the front, we have the back, we have the left. And on the left, I'm going to go ahead and color that one in. So on the left, we have this one. And that is RSTU. I'm going to erase that one now. Put my red edges back in. So I've done the front, I've done the back, I've done the left. Let's do the bottom. So the bottom is this one right here. And that is TUVW. Okay, I'm going to erase that. And the last one that I have that I need to do, the faces are hard because you have to keep erasing them. I've done the bottom, which means I'm missing the top, which is this face right here. This one's the top. And that's RSWV. So these are all of the faces that we have. So number 10, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I have all the information I think I need. The polyhedron has blank vertices, blank edges, and blank faces. So vertices, we should just be able to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's got 6 vertices. And my edges, again, I should be able to count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And how many faces? I can count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 faces. Now, the next one is a U-trie, but before we talk about the U-trie, I'm going to give you some definitions that you can write down at the bottom here. First of all, the base. So the bases are 2 polygons that are parallel and congruent. And a base is a face. Okay, so a base is a face of a polyhedron. So if I'm going to scroll up a little bit. what shape would be the bases for this prism? So look at the top and it's a rectangle, and parallel to that would be the bottom and it's a rectangle, but they are not the same size, so they're not congruent. So the top and bottom are not the bases. So let me look at the left and the right. The left and the right are both rectangles. Sorry about that. They are both congruent, it looks like. However, the left and right are not parallel. So let's look at the front and the back. The front and the back are both trapezoids that appear to be parallel, and they also appear to be congruent. So in our figure up here, the bases are the trapezoids. So next thing that we need to talk about are lateral faces. So a lateral face, these are faces that are not bases. So all the rectangles that we were talking about, all of those are our lateral faces. So they were our rectangles. In this case, we had 4 of them. With the trapezoids, we had 2 of them. If you need to pause the video to write that down, please pause now. I'm going up to the U-try. So again, this is a U-try, so I would like for you to go through and answer these questions about vertices, faces, lateral faces, and edges. So please pause the video now. Okay, really pause the video and actually answer this question. It's not difficult. It's going to take you less time to just do it than listen to me holler at you to pause the video and do it. So please pause the video now and answer the question. Here are my answers. Please pause the video to check your answers and make any changes. I'm moving on to the next page. So let's do some vocabulary review. We just talked about some of these. A lateral face is shaped like a polygon, and that is true. Every face has to be a polygon, whether it's a base or a lateral face. Lateral faces are surfaces of a polyhedron. That is true as well. A lateral face may be a circle. That is false. Lateral face must be a polygon. And a base is a lateral face, and that is false. A base is not a lateral face. So lesson check, do you understand? So name the lateral faces of the bases of the bases of the prism at the right. So number 18, the prism has how many faces? So please count the faces on that prism. So I've got, excuse me, the front and the back, top and the bottom, left and the right. So this has 6 faces. Is each base a face of the prism? And yes, each base is a face of the prism. And are the bases of the prism parallel and congruent? Well, what shape is my base? And again, we want them parallel and congruent. This is actually the same figure we just looked at, and that shape is my base, along with this one back in the back, and those two are congruent and parallel. So write the name of each face of the prism in the correct region of the Venn diagram. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the congruent and parallel faces. That's otherwise known as the bases. So that's going to be the front, A, B, C, D. It's also going to be the back, which is E, F, G, H. Then we have parallel faces. So parallel faces, those are going to be our top and bottom. Now right now, the 2 I wrote down, they are inside the parallel faces circle, so they're already parallel, but I have 2 others, the top and bottom. So I have B, C, F, G is the top, and on the bottom, I have A, E, H, D. And again, when you're naming a polygon, you go around in a circle with the letters, okay? So, got to go around in a circle. Then I have 2 congruent faces, however, they're not parallel, and that's going to be the left and the right. So I have A, B, F, E, and I have C, D, H, G. Sorry, I went around in the other direction. Number 22. Circle the most accurate description of the bases of the prism. Well, they're congruent, They are parallel, so the best description would be they're both parallel and congruent. The bases of the prism are, and I have them right above, I don't know if that's going to fit, A, B, C, D, and E, F, G, H. Number 24, name the lateral faces. So that's going to be the other ones. So I have A, B, F, E. I have C, D, H, G. I have B, C, F, G. And finally A, E, H, D. Lastly, we're simply labeling each diagram as a cylinder or a prism. So please go ahead right now and identify each one as a cylinder or a prism. So for number 1, that's a cylinder. Number 2, although it's on its side, it's still a cylinder, and that's because the base is a circle. Number 3 is a prism, and number 4 is also a prism. If you have any questions about vocabulary in 3 dimensions, please be sure and bring those to your teacher in class. Have a wonderful evening.